Welcome back to another episode of Hot Pizza Ass Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and on today's episode, we have Aaron Abeyta from NOFX. He is a guitarist, an improviser, a comedian, and an actor. You guys have seen him on the Mayans on FX airing currently. But he's joining our show to talk about his entire career, how he ended up making a living, basically doing a bunch of fun stuff, which is the overall theme of this episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear all of his crazy stories from the road and so much more. But first, a word from our sponsors. Just like everyone else in this world, I live a super busy life, and rest is a super important part of my routine so that I can live each day to the fullest and get everything done. Luckily, I have a couple of tools in my nighttime routine that keep me very relaxed so that I can drift off to sleep with comfort and ease. So let me tell you about the nighttime CBD soft gels from KROQ. They are vegan, they're gluten-free, and they are so helpful on the nights when I have trouble falling asleep. They kick in about 90 minutes or less, which is the best part, and they help me just drift off so peacefully. No wonder they're a bestseller. So go check them out, KROQshop.com, to try them for yourself and use my code HOTPizzaAss for 15% off of your order. Or go to the show notes directly and click on that link right there where you can go ahead and check them out at KROQshop.com. If you're feeling depressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, BetterHelp is here for you. There are times when I felt like I can barely keep up with my life, but luckily, BetterHelp makes it really easy to find and connect with a therapist at your convenience from the privacy and the comfort of your own home. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with BetterHelp. Special offer to Hot Pizza Ass listeners, you can get 10% off of your first month at betterhelp.com/hotpizzaass. Again, that's betterhelp.com/hotpizzaass. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Without further ado, here's Aaron Abeyta. Hey everyone, welcome to Hot Pizza Ass. Today I have an incredible guest and a fellow Aaron.
Hi.
Aaron Abeyta, who is a guitarist for NOFX and also, do you say trombonist?
Trumpet.
Yeah. Trumpetist?
Trumpet. I play the trumpet. I don't know. What do you call that? Trumpetist? Yeah. El Trompeto.
And also actor, comedian, and currently on the Mayans.
Yes.
So you do like everything basically.
Yeah, I stay busy.
Yes, staying busy all the time. And we've done 2 projects together. We did a movie, we did a TV pilot.
That's right.
Yeah. I feel like we should create some sort of like agreement where it's like, you know how people have like writers and stuff? Like I'll be in yours and you be in mine. So we'll always work on the same projects.
I mean, here we are again, back.
Here we are reunited after a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear about your background. Like, how did you grow up in terms of, you know, like your parents, your family, and how did you get into guitar or trumpet first?
It was trumpet first. That was 5th grade, I believe. I signed up for band. Well, first we did an ear test, a hearing test, where they would play like 2 tones, a high tone and a low tone. And you had a little paper in front of you. I remember this in grammar school. We were in the cafeteria, all the kids everywhere. And you would write high or low. You would mark a check and they would do a tone. It'd be like, boop or boop. And then you would say, oh, the second tone was higher or lower. And basically, if you had a sense of pitch. And then the students that passed were able to sign up for band class.
This seems so mean. So everyone else, you're like, you actually have no musical talent, so you can't do this.
I mean, if you're tone deaf, you're like, yeah, this isn't going to work for you.
Oh my God.
So originally I signed up and I wanted to play trumpet really bad because my parents would play a lot of mariachi music in the house growing up. I love the sound of the trumpets. And I first said, I want to play trumpet. I mean, you show up to band class. What instrument would you like to play? I said, trumpet. And they were like, well, we're all out of trumpets. How about a flute? I was like, man, I don't want to play a flute. So I didn't sign up that quarter or year or whatever. And I waited for the next round. They're like, you have to wait till next time. So I waited the next time, then got in and started playing trumpet.
Okay. And then how'd you start guitar?
Guitar was, let's see, I found a guitar in my brother's closet, had cobwebs on it and a few strings. It was missing some strings. And I just started dinking around with it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then a couple of my friends on my block, one guy was playing drums and another kid was taking guitar lessons. So there was just the two of them. So I got my brother's guitar out and the kid showed me how to tune it. And I started with a color crayon marking the neck of the guitar to know, I started learning real easy songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that kid show me how to play some of the songs. So I started with a color crayon, trying to teach myself. And then eventually I started taking lessons and started jamming with friends in my neighborhood.
And did you ever think that was going to turn into a career?
I know. I was just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think by age 16, well, that's when I picked it up. Yeah, after maybe a year of playing, I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, that's like an amazing moment. That's really fun when you realize that you can make a living out of having fun.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people think that they can do that.
Yeah. I think that's what it's all about, is finding something you love to do that's fun for you to do and keep doing it. It's all about repetitions, and eventually you'll get good at it and start making money maybe.
And so your mom was a psychic?
My mom was, I wouldn't say a psychic, like the psychics that you go and pay money or whatever. But she had tarot cards, and she was with us kids, relatives. And she was always predicting things, and things would happen. And we're like, yeah, Mom, whatever, and then shit would happen. And we're like, oh my God, Mom knew.
Yeah, like what kind of stuff?
Like when I first joined NOFX, we were touring in a little white van, and they pulled in to pick me up from my house to start our first U.S. tour. And my mom met the band, and would say, give me your hands. And she'd touch their hands. And, and she went around, and the drummer, she pegged immediately. He's like, why are you blocking me? She would say, why are you blocking me? He's like, And she's like, give me your hands. And she touches his hand. She's like, you're struggling with addiction. And he was like, I didn't even know at that time because I just joined the band.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, you're struggling. She's like, it looks like you've tried a few times. And he was like, oh, fuck. Because I guess he did try to quit heroin. Mm-hmm. And she's all, don't worry, you're going to make it. She's all, third time, you're going to make it. And he was just like freaked out, like, oh my God. I mean, if we could go forward a few more years, because he struggled during my first year of NOFX with heroin, and not only just in the US, but also on tour in Europe, he was scoring. But he finally checked into a rehab place. I forgot where it was, and got clean and got therapy and got, group therapy and everything. And boom, he's been off ever since. It's been clean. He did make it.
That was his third time.
And it was it was like his third try. And another thing she predicted was that the tour itself. She said, you guys there's gonna be some trouble. She goes, I see a checkpoint of some sort with police or authorities. And she said, don't worry, you'll make it through, but you guys are gonna get hassled. There's gonna be some kind of something to do with authorities. And she goes, I see an airport. And there was that thing. And then she goes, also, I see something coming where there's going to be a bad situation, possible violence, broken glass, blood. She goes, you guys need to stick together and you'll be fine. As long as you guys all come together, stay together, you'll be fine. She goes, police, there's cops, and, she basically a riot, she said, like a riot. And we're like, holy crap. And then we went off on that tour, and sure enough, on that tour, I think it was Wyoming, we got pulled over, and Melvin had pot on him, a bag of pot. And there was DEA and had dogs and everything. And it was like a long line of cars. And we're like, oh no. And then Melvin ate the whole pot. I think it was like an eighth of weed. He ate the whole bag. It was done. Then they came to the van. the dog sniffed the van, ruh, ruh, and we're like, oh, everybody out of the van. And we're like, oh, shit.
Oh.
The DA, he was cool. He's had like a long ponytail, looked like a Harley type guy.
Uh-huh.
And he says, as long as you guys are honest with me, I'll be cool to you. He said, do you have any pot? And he goes, no. Do you have any paraphernalia? Like anything? Well, I have a pipe. I did have pot, but I don't. I'm dry, and all I have is a pipe. And then he searched the car, found the pipe, found the empty bag. He goes, since you were honest, I'll be cool to you. You're going to have to come back and deal with court. And I think we paid some money too, like a fine right there. And he let us go. And then I think it was our drummer said, well, I guess she pegged this, but I don't see an airport. And one of us looked over and said, oh no, we asked the DH, is there an airport nearby? He goes, right there. You're standing next to one. That's the airstrip. And we're like, oh.
What?
It was crazy. We're like, oh my God. Then there was the riot. I believe it was Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think it was there. And we're playing some show. And skinheads showed up. And one of them had a long knife in the sleeve of his shirt and was harassing the opening band. And so the singer of the opening band was like, fuck you. He was doing this white power stuff. Fuck you, man. We don't believe in that and whatever. And then he pulled out the knife and stabbed the guy, like under his armpit. The big fight broke out. And it went out into the street. And cops pulled up and did nothing. They sat there and let everybody fucking fight. And people were yelling, do something, don't just stand there. And they're just like, no, we're not getting involved. It was two cop cars, two cops. And they just sat there and let everybody fight it out.
No.
Did not get involved.
The guy had a knife.
Yeah, they got the knife away from that guy.
But he's like, okay, I'm just going to take your knife, but you can keep fighting if you need to.
While
like, what?
While the fight was happening, we immediately yelled, everybody stick together. Where's Melvin? Where's Smelly? Where's, our crew? Everybody get over here. Everybody together. We went, when we all gathered together to just stand right here. We stood and watched this huge battle in the parking lot. One guy got on top of the car. This huge guy was smashing the car down, and there was skinheads in there, being inside the car? As he was smashing the car window, dragged the guy that stabbed the other dude out of the car and was jumping on him, like smashing. The kid was just lifeless, just blood everywhere.
Whoa!
Eventually, more cops showed up, and they dispersed, broke it up. But the two cops, if I'm thinking back now, knowing what I know now, if they were to have tried to have jumped in and to stop a riot, they probably would have got messed up. But they must have been radioing, and they're like, don't jump in, don't, just wait. Oh. They probably, whoever they were talking to probably said, wait for us to come more back up to show up. But that was scary.
Did people die?
I don't think so. The guy that got stabbed, he was cut right here, was bleeding. He had a white t-shirt on, so there was blood everywhere. We were in our van at that point, and he getting ready to leave, like, oh, well, that was our night. We didn't even get to play. And then the dude comes up to the van. Hey, man, I'm a big fan. I just want to say, I fucking love your band. Blah, 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 blah. We're like, okay, bro, man, go to the hospital, dude. Go get stitched up.
My God. He's like all bleeding.
He's all bleeding.
Like, I love you.
I just want to say.
Come give me a hug. Come here. Get in my blood.
And just to his buddy, like, get this guy to the hospital. I'm trying. Dude, come on. We got to get you to the hospital. But Mom predicted that.
That's wild. So when you're in that position, you're up on stage watching something like this kind of unfold, and there's really like nothing you can do. There's not enough law enforcement or security to even like intervene or stop it. How do you feel in that moment?
It's very scary, actually. We had a situation in Mexico City. Oh man, this whole podcast is going to be about my experiences on the road.
That's what I want, because you have some great stories. Give me the road stories.
We were playing the KROQ Festival in Mexico City, and the stage, the crowd was packed, and the barricade broke down, and kids were coming in close and grabbing onto the stage, and the stage started collapsing at the front, and then we kept backing up. We were still playing our show. A piece went down, another piece went down. Stage started coming apart, and then
while you're on stage?
While we're on stage performing, finally they're like the promoter or whatever, the stage manager, just like, stop. So we stopped playing, and the guy grabbed the mic and tried to tell the crowd, back up, we got to fix the barricade. And they just kept trying to come, and we're just like, all of us are freaking out, like, oh my god. And I think I forgot who was there. My wife at the time was pregnant, and like, we got to get you off the stage, get you to safety while this was happening. So she got off the stage and went into the back area of the dressing rooms and stuff. And they tried to fix it, and they thought they did. And then we started playing again, and then it came down again. And then the crowd started going nuts, like, boo, boo, let them play, and they picked up, what is those little tents, those little pop-up type tents, and it had Corona on it from the booths out there. And
yeah, like in the little areas where you get food and stuff like that.
Easy Up or whatever. Yeah. They grabbed one of those and mangled it and started tossing it, and they threw it towards the stage, and they were throwing things, and they were pissed off at security, and it got so bad we had to leave. We had to walk off the stage because it was too dangerous. Everything was coming apart. They were pulling metal parts that were holding up the stage. So as the front just started coming down, another piece came down, and I felt like, we're out of here. We're gone. But that was scary.
Whoa, you've lived a lot of crazy experiences. It's my goal actually on this podcast to get your craziest story that you've ever told, really, because I listen to other podcast appearances that you've done, and you have the best stories. Like, I want the best one though. The hot pizza ass, the best one ever. Wait, so you grew up Mormon?
I did.
You grew up Mormon, and at some point someone gave you a bunch of paperwork to prove the existence of aliens?
Oh, that. Oh, yeah. And I still have that.
Okay, so
in my storage unit.
We need to back up and go to the beginning of this story. So who was this guy that gave you this stuff?
Oh, my God. So my best friend I went to high school with and grew up in the Mormon church with since we were really little. We were always into aliens as kids, and we were buying magazines, and back then there was VHS, so I was buying VHS and magazines, like, oh cool, look at this, and we were so into it. And every time we'd see something in the sky, look, there's one now. It probably wasn't, but we
Is it actually an airplane?
Yeah, so that's something we were both into. And then we kind of, I went to college, and he went his own way, and we moved apart. And there was some guy, an old man that he had been talking to that come, because Fred, his name was Fred Giovannini, he was my best friend growing up. He runs a denture clinic place where they manufacture dentures, and he's in that field. And there was an old patient that was coming in of his, and he started talking about aliens and all this stuff. And Fred's, oh man, I got to call my buddy and let him know about this. He called me and told me about these stories this old man's telling, that he's interacting with aliens, and they're assuring him that he's not going to die. He's going to transform into another, I don't know, entity or something. And that guy, he got me on the phone with that dude, and we had like a long hour conversation. He was just going on and on about aliens, and that he's interacting with them, and they're good people. And then he was talking about all the different religions that were involved. And
in aliens?
In aliens, this guy said. And I'm just like, what? He's all, the Mormons. Oh, yeah. They're in on it, too.
They're in on what, though? Like, what part?
I don't know. It's just something to do with, they're somehow involved. And I was like, wait a minute. How? And then he said, I'm going to send you all this paperwork. Stacks and stacks of stuff. And I got this huge stack of papers, and I put it in a storage box, and still in my storage unit. I haven't still to this day, I haven't gone through everything. Mm-hmm. All the papers he sent me, he had handwritten letters, and it was a lot of stuff back then.
That sounds really, really weird. Like, I don't know if I'd want to read all of it, but I would be curious.
Well, I didn't know if he was just this crazy old man or what, You
gotta look through it.
Yeah.
Handwritten letters, that's the part that creeped me out the most. When you said they were handwritten, I was like, that's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my alien experience.
Have you ever seen one before?
I've never seen an alien.
Okay. I haven't either.
Yeah. I'd like to meet one. That'd be cool.
Really?
Yeah. It'd be like meeting someone in another country. Like, hey, so what's it like over there? Really? What do you eat?
Yeah. Like, where are you from? Like, how does this work? What do you guys want with us?
Yeah. Are we cool? Right? I know you're advanced, so please don't hurt us. I do watch a lot of those shows.
Which ones?
The alien shows on, there's one on Netflix. I forgot the name of it. Because there's so many now. I started with the History Channel, Ancient Aliens, and then there's one called Hangar 1, and there's one on Netflix that I've watched the whole series. And oh my God, that one is my favorite. There's some guy that worked for the government that can travel mentally places. Astral travel, they call it.
Ooh, astral projection?
Astral projection, yeah. And supposedly there's this guy that can do it, and the government got him and had him go to the moon, the dark side of the moon. And the dude like goes and he starts describing what he sees, and he says, "There's a whole city here, and there's people." And he's all, "Whoa!" And he's like, "Oh my God, there's buildings." And he goes, "They see me." They're like, "What?" They see me. They know I'm here. They know I'm looking at them. And I guess the aliens there was a base there, looked at him and started coming. He goes, "They're coming." He goes, they go, "Get out of there."
Stop astral projecting.
Yeah. So the dude comes back and he's just like, they know of me. They know I was there. They know what's happening. Like, gigs up.
I wonder if they came back and like found him and erased his mind. After that,
I know, and all the people that are being interviewed, they say that they're getting abducted or having their memories erased, and then they go under hypnosis to recall everything. Oh,
have you ever been hypnotized?
No, I don't think so. At least I don't remember.
I might have been hypnotized and mind erased.
Wouldn't that be crazy? You went under hypnosis and realized there's stuff it was erased.
That would be really weird. Or like repressed memories and stuff like that.
Repressed memories. Or like, you're like, holy fuck, I was abducted. I didn't know I was.
I think I always wonder if like certain therapists and things like that work in that medium and use that type of therapy, like they're really powerful if you think about it, because if you could suggest someone that they had a memory, when they're hypnotized, you could control them. Like you could put some weird shit in their mind.
Oh, right. There's a movie about that. Oh man.
It'll come back. It'll come back. Yeah. Someone will implant that memory, and then when you least expect it.
There was a guy that was controlling a woman through hypnosis, and she went to another hypnotist lady that helped her. She said he's got blocks everywhere. He's really knows what he's doing. He goes, I can't get in here and undo this, but what I can do is put in a key word. When he says this key word, that you'll see everything, the whole picture, and there was some part of the movie, he says this key word, like it's a guy that is in love with a woman, but controlling her and making her stay with him. And she doesn't remember anything. So he says a key word, and she comes to, she's like, bing. And she wakes up out of everything. And he thinks she's still under his control. And then she just, that's big. I don't want to ruin the movie. It's a big fight scene and everything. And she comes out and he gets his in the end.
Over the pandemic, like what were you doing? Watching a bunch of movies and hanging out? And
panicking a lot, anxiety. How am I going to pay my bills? I can't tour. I, can't make money. Mm-hmm. And there was the big scare of like, oh my God, am I going to get kicked out of my apartment and all this, So first there was that. Then grant money came in, and what's it called? Stimulus money came in, and I was like, okay. And the mortgage on the house, okay, we're gonna, pause your payments. I forgot what that was called. There's a name for it, but everything was okay. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get by. I'm getting by now, and then now what do I do? Can't go anywhere. I was doing, there was an app on the phone called Party or House Party.
Oh, yeah.
During that time.
I remember there was like a very brief moment where everyone was doing it, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. I was doing that for a little bit, and talking to friends, like, hey, what's up? Hanging out. What are you doing? Ooh, have a little drink. And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then it was just Netflix and, movies. All you could do is sit there and watch movies. I would get out and go on walks. My gym's done. I can't work out anymore. I'm gaining weight. I'm eating bad. I'm stressed. So I'm trying to get out and run and hike, and everyone's got masks on the outside, Yeah, I finally started doing Zoom.
Yeah.
So I was in the middle of acting classes at Stan Kerr Studios, studying on camera training, and that shut down. And I got an email saying they're doing Zoom classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is Zoom? What is that? And how do I do it? And I finally said, I'll try it. And I didn't know how to operate Zoom or know anything about it. And I was just like, hello, like, you're muted. Bottom left, there's a button.
Oh my God. We can't hear you.
I'm being talked to. What's this? Oh, huh? What? How do I? So I finally got in class, and I wasn't sure because I was in person doing classes. Like, how is this going to work with a little camera on my computer? But it's on camera training. So it actually works out great because they're watching you through the camera and they're telling you, you're looking too far to the left. You're looking too far to the right. Your eye line isn't right. And they could see if you're over expressing for the camera and under expressing, give me more, give me less.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, okay, well, this is working. And I kept doing that and on and on and on and on. I'm still doing the classes on Zoom today. It's a year and a half later.
Oh my gosh, you still are?
I'm still doing it because I got used to it. So I'm like, hell, it's working. I landed a role on Mayans. I got a co-star recurring, by doing these classes on
That's
Zoom.
amazing. Well, I guess, on camera is on camera regardless of what type of camera it is. Yeah.
Right.
And then you can also see, watch it back.
Yeah. In the in-person classes, we'd go through scenes and then you would tape. You 1 week you'd do your scenes. The next week you go home and you do a self-tape with a camera and a ring light. And you turn in your tape and then they review the tapes and they go, okay. And then they go give you your notes and let's try it again. You're looking too far down, you're overdoing this and now you're turning too far, blah, 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 blah. And you continue to learn. So the whole class is on the camera.
Yep.
So every single scene you're doing, you're getting your notes of how to work with a camera. So I'm like, oh, this is actually cool.
And it paid off. And you did the Mayans. That's cool. Yep. So you did a couple of episodes with them that are starting to air now.
Yeah, I did 4 episodes of the new season. And the last season I did episode 7. And it's so much fun. It was my dream. I told my manager said, what's your dream gig? Like, what show do you want to be on? I said, I want to play a Mayans so bad. I go, that's my dream.
And it happened.
It happened.
I kind of want to go back to your story of like being in this band and like, the band's been around since the 80s, but you joined in 92, right?
Yeah, 91.
Okay, 91. Yeah. So you were replacing someone.
Oh, yeah. I was replacing a guy named Steve at that time. He recorded the Ribbed album and then he quit the band. And then the drummer was friends with me already. We were partying in Hollywood all over this town a lot together. And then the band I was in was called Crystal Sphere. Singer got offered a solo career, Mark Curry, on Virgin Records. So I had nothing going on at the time. So drummer contacted me and says, would you like to try out? I said, sure. I got nothing going. And I auditioned. I went to San Francisco and I played with Fat Mike, got in and started touring in that shitty little van, playing little crappy clubs.
And it just happened like that quick.
I mean, well, we didn't blow up that quick. They were a small band back then. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'd go play Lincoln, Nebraska, and like 20 people show up, or there'd be some small gigs, and we play the Whiskey, and it'd be pretty good. Not too bad. And yeah, we dropped the Longest Line EP, my next record. So I toured for Ribbed, and then we recorded my first full length was White Trash to Heaps and a Bean. That's when things blew up. Mm-hmm. First Longest Line was an EP. It was a short one. We dropped that and started gaining ground in Europe, in Germany first. Then we did the White Trash to Heaps and a Bean album, dropped that in the US. And I'll never forget this. We had a gig at the Hollywood Palladium, pulled up in our little shitty white van, and we stopped and we said, oh my God, what is this line for? And it was wrapped around the street from the Palladium all the way around the block. And we're like, is this for us? No. that's the camp. Who's playing? Someone playing somewhere else? The Palace? They can't. We're used to playing these small clubs.
Yeah.
And we realized these people are in line for us. And we're like, holy shit, this is crazy.
What year was that?
It was when White Trash dropped. So was that 92?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Was that 92 or 93? I can't remember. It's been too long.
So it wasn't really that long after you joined the band.
Yeah. After that first full length dropped, we gained ground. And then after that year, we dropped Punk in Drublic. And that's when it got really big.
Yeah.
And blew up on Warped Tour. And that's when we're like, oh my God, we're on top of the world.
I know. That must have been a really amazing feeling to go from like, okay, we're doing the small stuff. And now it seems like, whoa, it's catching on.
Yeah, it caught on. I'll never forget the first tour. They put on, Kurt Cobain dropped, Nirvana dropped Nevermind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the name of the album?
Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped Nevermind, and we were listening to it in the van, and we were touring, and I was like, wow. I go, this sounds total pro, like professional. And I was like, guys, we just got to go record a professional sounding album. We got to make things sound better, more in tune, and blah, blah, blah. The door's open. This sound is opening the door for punk rock. You know, this could blow up.
Yeah.
And I think Warped Tour played a big deal in blowing up the punk scene, because, you know, that tour was huge with bands and going all over the United States, and all these hardcore underground punk bands, skate punk bands, and melodic punk bands all playing together. But they have so many stages. They have the two main stages and then all these side stages. So I think that contributed to a lot in blowing up the punk scene during the 90s.
And around that time, MTV was coming to fruition.
Yeah.
But then I heard a story that MTV was like, we want to start playing your music videos, your stuff. And you guys said no. Yeah.
We had a band meeting about that. Because all our other friends from other bands were doing it, you know, going on MTV. And we were just like, we can't do that. You know, we're like this underground punk band. And we all voted and decided, no, we're not going to do it. And there was a thing with KROQ too, where Mike got on stage and said, talk shit about KROQ and stop playing us. You know?
What?
Yeah, it was like, fuck you and stop playing our band on fucking KROQ.
Was there backlash there?
Oh yeah, there's backlash. They got pissed. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made in radio, man, real major radio play.
Yeah.
Getting your band on a radio, like there's good publishing money. So.
And that was just not part of what you guys wanted to do artistically?
Yeah, I think we were trying to keep it real, you know, real dumb and poor.
Trying to keep it real dumb and poor. That's like the most punk you could be. No, I respect that though. Like really making choices that are like, this does not feel authentic to like how this started. So we're going to say no, even though it could potentially help us.
Yeah. We tried not to cross over. I mean, the Warped Tour blew us the fuck up. So lots of bands actually. But yeah, what a career it's been.
Yeah, what's it like being part of a band, like a project like that for as long as you have? Like from the early 90s, now we're in 2022. Like that, most people don't work on projects or with the same collaborators for that long. What has that process been like, and what kind of growth and change has been part of that?
I think I feel very fortunate that we're still able to play concerts all over the world today. Like we're getting ready to leave for our European tour here, like May 18. We fly to Europe and we do Punk in Drublic Europe. And I don't know how we've managed to stay together. We've all had our fights and, you know, been through hard times together. You know, Eric's struggling with heroin, and, you know, Mike too with his drug abuse and drinking. And I'm amazed that everyone's still alive today.
Alive and thriving. But you guys are definitely iconic. Like every time that I post anything like about you or in my Instagram stories, my DMs fill up with like dudes in their 30s that are like, oh my God, you know him? And I'm like, yeah. And I've never used it as like a flex yet, but I feel like I will at some point. I will. And by the time this episode drops, I'm going to have like 45 new boyfriends. So I don't know. Like everyone like loves you. They're like, oh my God. It's like an icon.
Guys are going to, I want to take you out. Like, hey, do you think you can get him to sign this one?
Aaron's going to be there, right? Like the other Aaron, like you guys have become very meaningful to like kind of this up and coming group that was like listening to you in high school. Like you like grew a generation.
Yeah. A lot of times I don't think about it and I forget.
Yeah.
And I just go about living my life as a normal person. You know, sometimes I'll get rockegnized in a store or on the trail. I call it rockegnized. That's a tour thing.
Rockegnized?
Rockegnized.
Oh.
Recognized.
Rockegnized. When a rock star gets recognized,
yeah.
You get rockegnized.
I'll be like doing Fryman and I'll get stopped and ask for a photo, or, you know, I'll be in Ralph's, you know, and someone from Russia or from another country, Brazil, like, oh, I can get a photo with you. And, you know, I'll just be out, you know, eating every now and then. But most of the time I don't think of it. I just go about my life and do my thing, do my classes, go to auditions, and I'll get reminded when someone comes up and asks for a photo. Mm-hmm. That's like, oh yeah, I'm in this band, and oh wow,
yeah,
get recognized.
My goal is to get recognized. Maybe I will after this episode. But you guys did something really cool. You released an album during the pandemic, right? In February 2021.
Yeah.
And I was reading a lot about it and a lot of reviews. And it seems like a lot of people have recognized that this album is like darker in tone than other things that you've done. And I want to talk to you about what that process was like. And do you think that being in the pandemic and experiencing the shutdown and all of the experiences came with that kind of played into it?
Yeah, it was definitely a different experience working on this album during the pandemic. We all had masks. Mike bought all these tests, so we would swab. You know, before we'd go into a room, we'd show up, we'd swab, do a test, make sure we're clean. Then we go in a room with masks, and we were kind of spread out, you know, working on songs and being careful. Don't touch this. Don't touch that. Don't touch me. Mike was really freaked out, but I mean, we stayed safe. And then when we did the backyard, what was it? We did a live performance in Mike's backyard on his property there in Sherman Oaks. And we invited so many people. And we had, what are they called? They monitor, make sure you're wearing your mask. And I forgot what they're called.
Yeah, like the people on set, the like COVID compliance.
COVID compliance. Yeah. We had a group of people there, and you show up, you walk through the first gate, and you know they test you, give you a special mask. Like you can't wear your own mask, you have to wear this mask, and here's the rules. You know, stay spaced apart, keep your mask on at all times. You know, and they were monitoring everybody. You know, we had just the bands that were performing and their immediate crew, and that was still enough people. So that was there. Slightly Stupid was there, Fishbone. A couple of guys from Avenged Sevenfold were there, not performing, but hanging out. And then we had camera crews, had a bunch of cameras. So people would, you know, pay to watch us perform. We figured out how can we make some money during the pandemic, and we made some money, not a lot, but paid our bills. So, I mean, that was cool. And sure enough, my mask was off. They're like, excuse me, sir. I'm like, oh, sorry. They were like monitoring everywhere. We got through it. We got cool. No one caught COVID, and we got to see our friends again, which we hadn't seen for a while.
Yeah.
You know, so we're like, oh my God, how are you? Do I hug you? And everyone's like, do I fist bump or do I not touch you? Like no one knows what the other person's thinking, but they're being careful.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm vaccinated. You can fist bump me. And then off to the side, you put your sanitization, whatever the stuff you got going.
You're like, no offense, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the most challenging things I think about, like kind of emerging in like the post-vaccination world, because not knowing other people's level of comfortability and just kind of like, I'm not exactly sure, but like, hey,
it's uncomfortable. You haven't seen people in over a year,
Yeah.
And then hello. Oh, are you afraid? Am I afraid? What's protocol here?
Yeah. It's like so weird, so awkward.
Yeah.
I've had so many moments like that where I'm like, I'm not sure what we do here. Like, do we discuss it in advance?
Yeah.
Like, are you okay with like a handshake? Are you okay?
Yeah, you have to ask. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
And it's like, hi. So do I shake your hand? Do I hug? No? Okay. Sorry. 6 feet.
Okay, I'll just be over here.
Yeah.
I'll yell across the room. I had so many weird holiday experiences during the pandemic where like I had an outdoor Thanksgiving at a family member's house where we all had like our own individual Thanksgiving because no one wanted to share like common food or common like utensils even to cut the turkey, serving things.
Condiments.
Yes.
Wow.
So can you imagine that? So we all had our own individually like tinfoil wrapped everything for Thanksgiving, from stuffing to turkey to the vegetables to whatever it was.
No one's grabbing the spoon and scooping. And here you go.
Yeah. The amount of dishes, like the cleanup involved, like
oh my
wild.
God. I think it was a time for everyone to rethink their lives and like, what do I want to do when things start opening again? We get going again. Like, what's my plan? What am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Yeah. And now that things are kind of, I guess the world is healing in certain ways and you're able to tour again.
Yeah.
So is it weird going back on the road like that? How does it feel?
Yeah. The first show back was really strange. Where was our first one? Was it Colorado? I think it was Colorado was the first one back. And we're like, oh my God, we're actually going to play. It's not going to get canceled. And getting up there and have not performed in almost 2 years or whatever was really like, ooh, I'm rusty.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, all the bands that I talked to too, they're like, oh man, that first show was like, ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
And after about 3 of those, it starts to come back. After you've done 3 more, boom, we're like, okay, I'm starting to get back into the groove.
Yep. You know what's so funny is I feel like being a musician is so similar to being a stand-up comedian because a lot of what we do is the same thing over and over again. Like there's a lot of repetition involved. Yeah. And then, going to different cities, vibing off the crowd, doing different things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're doing it every night. So you're vibing off. And then, like you're a stand-up comedian, you go to a different city, it's a different vibe and there's different topics and people think different in that city. So you have to adjust, what for us going country to country, city to city, it's different. The crowd's different. They react a different way. They say different comments, to you, and you have to adjust for like what they can relate to.
Yeah. And like your career is so interesting because like you've done both. Like, so you're in this band that's iconic and touring. And then you're like, well, I feel like my life could get a little bit worse. Let's do comedy. And then you became an improviser.
That was fun. I started doing that. I met his name was Chris Reed, Sons of Anarchy. I met him at the Roxy, out in front of the Roxy, and we got to talking, and then we went over the Rainbow, had a drink, and he told me about the Groundlings. I was like, I want to check that out. You never heard of improv? No, what's that? He saw, come to the show. We'll go check it out. So I went and watched a live improv show at the Groundlings, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, that looks like so much fun. And it looks easy. I thought it was easy.
It always looks easy, right?
They're pros.
They're so good.
They make it look like it's effortless. So like, well, so I signed up and, I auditioned to get into the school with no experience, just jumped up on the set. All right, you and you two pair up. All right, go. Here's your topic. Go. I was like, da.
Oh my God. This gives me so much anxiety.
I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, I don't have my guitar. I don't have my band. There's no audience in front of me. It's these students. And I was so nervous. So I didn't get in. And they suggested to start with the warm-up classes, class A and B. Back then it's for the general public. It's not for actors.
I just like, oh, you just want to try it.
Yes, I started.
Do one of these.
I got into the A class, passed it. They're like, oh, good for you. Yay, you tried. And I kept going and did the next level, B. And I said, fuck it. What do I got to lose? I'm going to audition again for the damn school. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
I auditioned. I got in. I was like, oh my God. So I did they called basic and then intermediate. And then Matt Besser from UCB wrote me through the record label and said, I see you're in improv. You like, come over to check out our school. I said, hell yeah. So I went over there and saw their system, which looked so complicated. I was like, oh my God, they have a whole different system, the Herald system.
Yeah.
I watched ASCAT and then I signed up. I got in a scholarship. So I got my first class, free and got into it. He reeled me in. He's like, yeah, first one's free.
Well, that's so cool that like the person, he's like the originator of this whole of UCB.
Yeah. Was
like reaching out to you personally.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I didn't even know, I was new to this scene, so I didn't know what UCB was. And my friend Chris Reed said, what? Matt Besser contact? What?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? I was like, what? He's just like an older punk rock dude.
See, I'm telling you, iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
But a lot of fun there, man. Made a lot of friends there. I stayed with that school and graduated and did advanced study. And then I auditioned to get into Academy, which is like another level they created. I got in, I passed, got into Academy, and then everything went shut down, pandemic. So I never got to take an Academy course.
Yeah. Are you going to go back and do it?
I don't think it's even there anymore. The Sunset School's not there anymore.
Yeah, that's right. It closed.
Yeah, it closed. I think they still have the Franklin place. There's online courses for sure. I still get emails with online, but I'm so into the on-camera training. I haven't had time. I plan on going back and doing more improv and writing sketch comedy. I did a sketch comedy writing class there too, and then it shut down.
So what about stand-up?
I've never done stand-up.
Would you? You have good stories. You'd be a good stand-up.
I'd have to like take a course or something. How do you get into this? What do you
like
learn?
I'm the teacher. You have me.
Okay.
I will help you.
Really?
Yes.
I have to figure out a routine, I guess. Do you just tell stories?
You can. You could tell stories. You could tell jokes. Like I've seen stand-up comedians who don't tell jokes at all. I'm like adding to your to-do list. I'm sure you're like, okay, I have enough to figure out already. But something I love to talk about on my podcast is I love to talk about how people kind of like get over their fears or something about themselves that they thought was the thing that they needed to like sweep under the rug that ends up being like your superpower. Do you have a version of that story? And if so, what is it?
Fear? I mean, when I signed up for improv, I never felt a fear that intense. When I got up in front of people without my guitar, my band, and everything, and it was just on the spot, that feeling was like so scary. I was like, I don't know if I should even be here doing this, And I remember when at UCB, I didn't pass the second level. I worked as hard as I could. I tried my best, and I didn't pass. And in my mind, I thought, maybe I should not be attempting to do improv. Maybe this just isn't for me. And I was really down on myself. And I was like, I can't. I have to overcome this fear. And now I have the fear of doing improv. And I have to push myself. And it's like, if you ever jump off a cliff into a water, like where you're waiting to jump, and you're like, ooh, you ever been like Hawaii or something?
Yeah. And I always chicken out.
And you chicken out and you're like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to do it. It feels like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that feeling of getting ready to jump off the cliff and go for it. You're going to survive, but it's scary as hell. But just getting your courage up, you're like, I'm just going to push myself, close my eyes and hope for the best. I'm just going to go. And then once you do it, you're like, yes, I did it.
Sometimes fears aren't real.
Yeah.
you know? And then you jumped off the ledge and you kept doing UCB and went through the whole entire freaking program, which is hard and competitive, and not a lot of people do it.
It's very, a lot of people will go for a few years and like, yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You know, but I just kept going. I go, I can't give up. I can't give up. I can't give up. Damn it. It was so like, fuck, I didn't pass. Oh man, why? I tried so hard.
Yeah, and got so far.
Oh man.
Yeah, don't give up. And then you moved into like writing and stuff like that, which is also really cool.
I started the sketch writing program there. I did level 1 and then everything shut down. So and then I took a little writing thing online through Zoom, through UCB. It was like a short little course. They were trying things out back then. Now they have it all figured out. There are tons and tons of classes now. There's writing for sitcom and pilot writing courses, and there's like all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I want to take the pilot writing course. I want to write a pilot. That would be cool. So I got to wait till I'm done touring and recording, so I have time, because I'm juggling the band and juggling auditions and filming, you know, like TV shows. And I'm like, oh my God, this is tough. You know, and then I'm doing martial arts too. I got my blue belt and I'm continuing to do that. And that's my gym. That's where I work out. That's how I look at it. Okay, this will just be where I work out. And then I have to practice my trumpet, my guitar parts, and record, and then go on tour. And then I got to do class scenes and tape, and then auditions, and and then go film, and then go band practice, go film.
Yeah, I mean, you're really successful in 2 highly competitive fields. And do you ever feel like you need to put yourself in a box or something like that? Because I feel like a lot of multi-hyphenates, especially when they become more successful, it's like it gets really difficult to juggle it. I think the world wants you to like pick one thing.
Yeah, I do feel that box thing. I start to feel myself becoming isolated because I'm so damn busy going from one thing to another. And sometimes I get like, oh my God, I can't handle this. There's too much. I have to drop something, you know? And sure enough, I'll get to the point where I go, and then something will slow down. Like, hey, we're not recording this month, you know, or we're not touring this month. And I'm like, now I'm going to focus on this, you know, or a film schedule will pick up. I can't come in and record. I'm filming on this day. Can we move my record session, tracking guitars, to this day? You know, and I'm juggling a schedule, and I'm on my phone with the calendar app, and I'm constantly going through like this podcast, the Hot Pizza Ass. You're like, can you come in? I was like, okay, I can come in on this Monday.
Yeah.
Like I just did a retreat, martial arts summit, and it was 3 days. And I was like, okay, that's going to finish Sunday. I'll get some sleep Sunday night, and I'll wake up Monday, and I'll come here. And here I am. I made it.
You made it. Thank you so much also for doing the show. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
As someone who has gone all over the world professionally, what is the worst city in the world?
Ooh, if I say that, they'll hate me.
Okay, you don't have to answer the question if you don't want to.
Worst city in the world? Oh,
but man. I mean, I feel like we all have an answer. So,
one of those third world? No. I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay, then I won't make you answer it. No, absolutely. What's the best pizza in the world?
Oh, Italy has the best.
I agree.
Oh my God, New York's got good pizza too, though. But in Italy, oh man, where did I play? Was it Rome? I forgot this venue, and we ordered pizza, and then it's not called pepperoni over there. Over there, you say pepperoni. It's like these chili peppers they put on your pizza. I learned that the hard way. I think they call it spicy salami. It was spicy salami, and they brought it, and the salami, well, we call it pepperoni, was so spicy. It was so delicious and so hot, like jalapeno hot, like you're like, oh, I need water. But it tasted so damn good. I don't know if you're Mexican.
Yeah.
So you've had hot, spicy, you know, hot sauce. It was like the pepperonis were hot sauce, you know, and full of flavor. You're like, oh, it tastes so good, but it's so fucking hot. Oh, I'll never forget. Best pizza in the world right there.
That's awesome. In Rome. Great city. Definitely the best food in the world, I think, is Italy. Awesome. Well, if you could give any sort of advice to someone like you, a younger you, what would you tell them?
Advice on what?
On balancing a career, starting a career, pursuing your dreams.
Oh, I would say, everything in life is about repetitions. You just got to keep doing it over and over and over. Don't get discouraged because you're going to suck at first. Just keep going. Get through the sucking phase, and after you've done it 100 times, you'll start to get a feel for it. Another 100 times, another 100 times, 500 times. After you've done it 1,000 times, you're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this now. So just keep going. Don't give up, and surround yourself with positive people. Don't be around negative people that are doubting you and putting you down. Keep your inner circle, good positive people, a good support system, and just go for it. You can do anything. The sky's the limit. Just go for it. Go for it.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, NOFX on Instagram. So it's ELH spelled with an H. I know that's not how you spell it, but it's spelled with an H. NOFX, NOFX.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing Hot Pizza Ass.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yay. Thanks again to Aaron Abeyta for joining this episode of Hot Pizza Asked, and thank you for listening. To support this podcast, please go to the show notes and check out any of our sponsors, or go ahead and share this episode with a friend who would enjoy this and would have fun listening to this episode with Aaron Abeyta. Thank you guys so much for your support. Feel free to review on iTunes. It's a great way for us to get the word out, and we will see you guys next time. Again, I'm Aaron, sending you lots of love from Hot Pizza Ass.